While considering various preparatory activities and deliberations towards the review conference, this committee has heard from a number of UN members purporting to claim an interest in the phenomenon of anti-Semitism. Such statements must be clearly understood in context. The context is their simultaneous redefinition of anti-Semitism as directed against Arabs and Muslims. In the words of the ambassador of Algeria yesterday, anti-Semitism targets Arabs because they are also Semites. Anything less, he said, would be a false dichotomy between Jews and Arabs. The dichotomy about which he speaks might be described somewhat differently. 6 million Jews were murdered by the Nazis in the Holocaust. This is anti-Semitism. It isn't about Arabs, it isn't about Muslims, and it is a heinous form of xenophobia and intolerance that Jews would certainly have preferred not to have suffered, contrary to the competition.
Distinguished Madam, distinguished representative of an NGO, Institute on Human Rights and the Holocaust, please be committed to the item under consideration, which is item 5. Item 5 is entitled Reports of Preparatory Meetings and Activities at the International, Regional and National Levels. You can talk about other matters under relevant items, appropriate items. However, what you have been saying is not appropriate to item 5. Kindly be committed to the title of item 5. You have the floor, Madam.
The title of item 5 is the reports of preparatory meetings and activities at the international, regional, and national levels. To assess those preparatory meetings and to explain their appropriate activities, it is necessary to talk about the substance of those activities. So to set the record straight for those preparatory purposes, the term anti-Semitism was coined by an anti-Semite in the 19th century to mean Jew hatred, not more, not less. Much has been said and written in the course of preparing for the conference about the need to address contemporary forms of racism and xenophobia. In this context, there is an acid test of the genuineness of alleged concern for anti-Semitism. The major contemporary form of anti-Semitism is anti-Zionism, the rejection of the self-determination of the Jewish people realized in the State of Israel. It seems unlikely that the ambassador of Algeria, chairperson of the committee charged with filling normative gaps,
Distinguished Madam, you are still talking not under the item under consideration. If you do not have another statement under item 5, I am going to give you the floor at the appropriate time. However, please kindly be committed to the item under consideration. I do not want to interrupt you once again. However, if you are not really ready for this item, you can take the floor in the forthcoming days. You have the floor.
Given that the topic is the preparation and the preparatory meetings and activities and planning accordingly, the substance of those meetings, it seems to me, is of direct relevance to item 5. But I would end at this point by saying the gap which will undoubtedly remain in the normative standards in terms of the inclusion of anti-Zionism in the preparation process for Durban beggars the imagination to believe that the same states leading the crusade to delegitimize the Jewish state will not use the Durban preparatory process and the conference itself to promote rather than to protect against contemporary anti-Semitism.